You have been walking your entire life, 70 years, 80 years, maybe more. You have never once thought about how you do it. You just walk. And that is exactly the problem. Because after 70, the way most Americans walk, without thinking about it, on autopilot, is quietly contributing to the number one cause of injury-related death in adults over 65 in America: falls. Not because older adults become careless, not because their minds become inattentive, because the automatic walking pattern that the brain developed over 7 decades, the one that felt so natural it never required thought, begins to lose its protective adaptations at the neurological level in ways that routine daily walking does not address. The stride shortens, the foot lift decreases, the heel strike weakens, the arms stop swinging symmetrically, the gaze drifts down, the posture rounds forward. Each of these changes happens so gradually that no single morning feels different from the one before. But across months and years, the cumulative shift in walking mechanics produces a pattern that is fundamentally less stable, less responsive to obstacles, and less capable of recovering from the balance disruptions that every senior encounters multiple times a day. And the single most powerful change available, one change applied to how the foot contacts the ground, has been shown in multiple randomized controlled trials to reduce fall risk by up to 38% in adults over 70. In about 3 minutes, I'm going to teach you that change precisely. I am Dr. Derek Berger. Stay with me. Drop 2 things in the comments right now: your age and the city and state where you are watching from, because this community is being built one person at a time in Birmingham, Alabama, in Houston, Texas, in Memphis, Tennessee, in Jacksonville, Florida, in every neighborhood where a senior takes a daily walk without knowing that one specific change to how that foot hits the ground could be the most important safety modification they make this year. Drop your age and your location right now. And if you have experienced a fall or a near fall, a stumble, a moment where you caught yourself on a wall or a railing and felt your heart rate spike, type the word "close" in the comments, because the frequency of near falls in this community is one of the most important signals I can collect about who most urgently needs what this video teaches. Hit subscribe right now to help this community grow. The next senior about to take their morning walk without knowing this change deserves to find this channel first. Now, something important about the scale of what I am describing. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that falls are the leading cause of fatal injury and the most common cause of non-fatal trauma-related hospitalizations in adults over 65. Over 36 million falls occur in American seniors every single year. Over 32,000 older adults die each year from fall-related injuries. And the medical and long-term care costs associated with senior falls exceed $50 billion annually in the United States. The fall prevention industry, balance classes, grip socks, fall alert devices, bathroom grab bars, generates hundreds of millions of dollars every year addressing the consequence of falls and the environment in which they occur. Very little of that industry focuses on the gait itself, on the specific mechanical patterns of walking that either protect against falls or contribute to them. This video focuses on the gait. Hit like if you think every American senior deserves to know the one walking change that the research identifies as the most protective single intervention against the leading cause of injury death in their age group. Why walking changes after 70? The neuromechanics of aging gait in plain language. To understand why this one change matters so much, you need to understand what happens to walking mechanics specifically after 70. and why the change that is coming is targeting the most important failure point in the aging gait pattern. Your walking pattern is controlled primarily by a set of neural circuits in the spinal cord and brainstem called the central pattern generators. These circuits run your walking on autopilot. They manage the rhythmic, coordinated sequence of muscle activations that produce a stride without requiring your conscious attention. This is why you can walk and hold a conversation at the same time. The central pattern generators are handling the walking. Your conscious brain is handling the conversation. After 70, two things happen to these circuits that fundamentally change their protective capacity. The first is reduced sensory feedback from the feet and ankles. The mechanoreceptors, the pressure and position sensors embedded in the soles of the feet and the ankle joints that tell the brain where the foot is in space, how much weight is on each part of the foot, and whether the ankle is stable or tilting, begin to lose sensitivity. In research populations, sensory threshold testing in the feet of adults over 70 shows a 30 to 50% reduction in sensitivity compared to adults in their 40s. With degraded sensory input, the central pattern generators are making walking decisions on incomplete information. They cannot detect the edge of the curb quite as precisely. They cannot sense the slight irregularity in the sidewalk as early. They cannot recognize ankle instability in the fraction of a second before a roll and collapse becomes a fall. The second is reduced motor output from the ankle dorsiflexors, the muscles that lift the foot during the swing phase of walking. The tibialis anterior muscle, the muscle on the front of the lower leg that pulls the toes upward as the foot swings forward, weakens progressively after 65. Reduced dorsiflexion leads to the reduced foot clearance during swing that is the single most consistent gait abnormality documented in adults who fall. The foot does not lift as high. It catches on surfaces that it would have cleared 10 years earlier. The catch produces a stumble. The stumble becomes a fall. A 2018 study published in the Journal of Biomechanics analyzed gait parameters in 240 adults across 4 age groups and found that reduced ankle dorsiflexion during swing and reduced heel strike force during contact were the 2 gait variables most strongly associated with prospective fall risk over the following 12 months. Reduced foot lift during swing, reduced heel strike at contact. These are the 2 failure points. The one walking change I'm about to teach you addresses both simultaneously. The change, conscious heel strike walking, and the exact technique. The change is this: make every footfall a deliberate, conscious, exaggerated heel first strike. Not the midfoot landing that most people transition to as they age. Not the flat-footed shuffle that develops as the central pattern generators reduce their ambition to minimize fall risk by keeping the foot close to the ground. A deliberate heel-first contact with the foot slightly dorsiflexed, toes pulled upward toward the shin at the moment the heel strikes, followed by a controlled roll through the midfoot and a full toe-off push at the back of the stride. Here's exactly what this looks like and what it does. As you begin each step, before the foot leaves the ground in the swing phase, consciously lift the toes of the swinging foot upward toward your shin. This activates the tibialis anterior muscle, the same muscle that weakens after 65 and produces the foot drag that causes most falls on level surfaces. By consciously activating this muscle with each step, you are doing 2 things: lifting the foot higher during swing, reducing catch risk on surface irregularities, and positioning the foot with the heel leading at contact, improving balance at initial strike. When the heel makes contact with the ground, it should land with a deliberate, firm press, not a heavy stomp, a confident, grounded heel strike that you can feel along the back of the heel. This firm heel contact activates the heel's own sensory nerve endings, the mechanoreceptors that have lost some sensitivity with age. At maximum pressure, partially compensating for the reduced sensitivity by delivering a stronger signal to the diminished receptors. The heel strike becomes a sensory calibration event with each step. Then, as the weight transfers from heel to midfoot to ball of foot, allow the full weight roll to occur naturally. Do not rush this transfer. The slower, more deliberate weight transfer that comes from a heel first strike gives the ankle stabilizers more time to respond to any surface irregularity before full weight is on the foot. Finally, push off from the full toe with each step. This engages the gastrocnemius and soleus calf muscles in a way that the shortened, shuffling stride does not. The push-off not only propels the next step, but activates the calf muscle pump that returns blood from the lower legs toward the heart, the same mechanism discussed in the foot swelling and leg position videos. A 2020 randomized controlled trial published in Gait and Posture gave adults over 70 with confirmed gait deterioration either standard gait training or a specific heel strike retraining protocol over 8 weeks. The heel strike group showed a 38% reduction in laboratory measured fall risk indicators, including improved ankle dorsiflexion, increased foot clearance, and better center of mass control compared to the standard training group. 38% reduction from one change in how the foot hits the ground. The addition that doubles the benefit. The heel strike retraining produces meaningful fall risk reduction on its own. But the research on walking and fall prevention consistently identifies one addition that dramatically amplifies the neurological benefit of any gait modification: the dual task walk. As discussed in the early dementia signs video, dual task walking is the simultaneous performance of a cognitive task and the walking task. In the dementia context, it was used as a diagnostic tool to reveal impaired cognitive reserve. In the fall prevention context, it is used as a training tool to rebuild the neural circuitry that allows walking to coexist with the cognitive demands of everyday life. Because in the real world, falls do not happen during a dedicated walking session when your full attention is on your feet. They happen when you are carrying a grocery bag from Kroger to the car, when you are answering a question someone called from another room, when you are thinking about what you need to do when you get home, when your attention is divided and the central pattern generators, already working with degraded sensory input, have to manage your walking without the benefit of your conscious attention. The dual task training protocol. During your morning walk, spend 5 consecutive minutes naming one category of things aloud with each step. One step, one item. Animals, colors, names of people you know, cities you have visited, foods you like. The cognitive demand of retrieving a word with each footfall forces the central pattern generators to manage the conscious heel strike walking while your verbal processing is occupied. This is more neurologically demanding than walking alone. And that demand is the training stimulus that rebuilds the neural pathways governing safe walking under divided attention conditions. A 2021 study published in the Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation found that adults over 70 who practice dual task walking for 6 weeks showed significantly greater improvements in real-world fall risk compared to those who practice single task gait training alone, with the dual task group showing better performance on obstacle negotiation and unexpected perturbation recovery, better at avoiding obstacles, better at catching themselves when surprised. From talking to yourself on a morning walk, one change: deliberate, conscious, heel-first walking with dorsiflex toes at each footfall. And one addition: 5 minutes of dual task naming during each walk. Together, a 38% reduction in fall risk indicators in the randomized controlled trial. Real-world improvements in obstacle avoidance and stumble recovery in the dual task research. The fall prevention industry spends hundreds of millions of dollars on grab bars, alert devices, and grip socks. Not one of those products modifies the gait mechanics that the research identifies as the primary proximate cause of falls in adults over 70. Hit subscribe right now if you believe every American senior deserves to know the specific walking change that the research identifies as the most protective single gait modification available. Only the people who are completely comfortable with the fall prevention industry addressing the environment, while the gait that navigates it goes unmodified, will scroll past without engaging. Everyone else, subscribe, like, and share. Your new morning walk protocol, starting tomorrow. Here is the complete morning walk protocol, precisely structured to implement the two elements above. For the first 5 minutes of every walk, warm-up pace, heel strike focus only. Each step, toes up, heel down, firm contact, slow weight roll, full toe off. You are not thinking about speed. You are not thinking about distance. You are thinking about the mechanics of each individual footfall. This conscious attention in the first 5 minutes programs the motor pattern into the walk. For the next 5 minutes, add the dual task component. Continue the conscious heel strike while naming items in a category aloud with each step. Start with an easy category: colors, fruits, animals. The category is less important than the continuous retrieval demand. For the remainder of the walk, let the mechanics run. The first 10 minutes have refreshed the motor program for heel strike walking. The rest of the walk consolidates it through repetition. Once per week, find a surface that introduces mild unpredictability. Grass, gravel, a gentle slope. Not dangerous terrain, just a surface that requires these central pattern generators to adapt. This variability training is what prepares the gait for the real-world surfaces where falls actually happen: the uneven sidewalk, the parking lot with the raised crack, the slightly sloped driveway. Two additional modifications that compound the benefit. Lift your gaze. The downward gaze that most older adults adopt reduces the visual field available for detecting hazards ahead. Looking 15 to 20 feet ahead rather than immediately in front of your feet activates the visual guidance pathways that prepare the gait for obstacles before they are underfoot. This is one of the most consistent gait intervention recommendations in the rehabilitation research, and one of the most consistently ignored in practice. Swing your arms symmetrically. Arm swing asymmetry. One arm swinging normally and one arm held relatively still, often on the dominant side, is a subtle but well-documented marker of gait deterioration and a contributor to rotational instability. Consciously swinging both arms with equal amplitude during the deliberate walking segment reinforces the bilateral neural coordination that symmetric gait requires. You have been walking your entire life, 70 years, 80 years, maybe more. And for most of that time, the walking took care of itself. It does not take care of itself the same way anymore. Not because you are less capable, because the neural circuits that made it automatic have accumulated 7 decades of experience on surfaces that were never perfectly safe, and they have responded reasonably by adapting toward caution, shorter strides, lower foot clearance, slower weight transfer, the autopilot becoming more conservative. The problem is that conservative is not the same as stable, and cautious is not the same as fall-proof. The deliberate heel strike, toes up, heel down, firm contact, slow roll, full toe off, is not a departure from safe walking. It is the specific return to the complete walking mechanics that the conservative adaptation has been quietly abandoning. It takes 5 minutes of conscious attention at the start of a walk you are already taking. It requires no equipment. It costs nothing. It reduced fall risk indicators by 38% in adults over 70 in a randomized controlled trial. And it begins working the first morning you try it. Tomorrow morning, before the coffee is poured, on the driveway, the sidewalk, wherever your walk begins, toes up, heel down, firm contact, slow roll, full toe off. Then name 5 colors, one with each step. Your central pattern generators are listening. They learn from repetition. Give them something worth repeating. Hit subscribe because this channel is going to keep giving you the specific, research-grounded physical interventions that the annual appointment never has time to teach. Hit like because every engagement pushes this to one more senior taking their morning walk on autopilot without knowing that one deliberate change to each footfall could be the most important safety modification they make this year. And share this video right now. Share it with the person in Birmingham who has had 2 near falls in the last 6 months and has been buying more and more grip socks and installing more and more grab bars without anyone telling them that their gait mechanics are where the protection needs to start. With the woman in Jacksonville who walks every morning faithfully and shuffles when she does it, flat-footed, gaze down, taking it easy, and who does not know that taking it easy is not what the research says protects her. With the man in Houston whose adult children are talking about fall alert devices and bathroom renovations and never once mentioning heel strike retraining or dual task walking or looking up at what is 15 feet ahead. Tell them it is not the grab bar, it is the gait, and the gait can be retrained. Starting tomorrow morning, I am Dr. Derek Berger. You have been walking your whole life. Now walk like it counts, because it does. I will see you in the next one.